Welcome to Healing X Outreach. I'm your host, Augustine Estacio. That was Adams Road Band, and the name of the song is Justified by Faith. Of course, by the hook there, you can tell. Adams Road Band is a five-boy band. Their music is free for download at adamsroadband.com. What makes them absolutely unique is that they are five former Mormon missionaries. And two of the sons on the band, one is a really talented pianist, are the sons of Lynn Wilder, who gave her story a couple of years ago. She's a former BYU professor, and we're going to be retelecasting Lynn and her husband's story on the July 2nd program, 4th of July weekend. So you'll get to hear at least half of it, I think, because we had to do two programs, 2 hours each, with both her and her husband. And her husband was a high-ranking Mormon. And so you'll get to hear at least half of the story on the weekend of July 2nd on Saturday. And so you have something to look forward to. A former Brigham Young University professor leaves the Mormon church, and that's that story. And so that's going to be a really great story to listen to. The next couple of weeks, we have some really interesting programs, and just give you an alert to some of them. This Tuesday, of course, Melissa Bramer is going to have a retelecast program with Arlene McGinley. Arlene McGinley is someone that I'm very familiar with. I was in ministry with her maybe 10 or more years ago, and she's a former Jehovah's Witness who became Catholic, and well, she found Christ, and she exhibits her faith through the Catholic faith, became a Christian, and then she became Catholic. But that story is going to be this Tuesday at 7:30 p.m., and I think that's 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, with Melissa Bramer, that interview, and that's a retelecast. Melissa, I think, gave an announcement. She's willing to come to where you are if she to do live interviews. So please take a look at her ministry and all the details concerning that. She's an extension of forjehovah.org and forwitness.org ministry, which is Christy Darlington's ministry, as we are also an extension of that ministry. We're working together here also with Six Screen Cell Network. If you're not on the video suite, we encourage you to come on to the video suite and chat room to go ahead and check us out there. And that link is linked up already. I already advertised it a little bit this morning. And so just go to sixscreensofthewatchtower.com, and you'll be able to see the link for the video suite. If you're not listening to us on the BTR line, you can listen to us also through the Six Screen Cell Network. Dial in at 712-432-8710. And just press star 1 if you want to unmute yourself and share some comments there. And so that's 3 ways you can listen to today's program through the BTR line, which is, of course, a 347-934-0379 number. I want to say thank you to all those listeners who have helped support Healing X Outreach and Blog Talk Radio programming. We do a campaign. We didn't do one last year, so I had to come out of pocket for a year, which was a big strain for me. But I really appreciate when my callers and listeners who listen to this in so many ways. You listen on iTunes, you listen through the podcast, you listen live, and it tells me something when, even though it's not a huge amount, that you go ahead and pay the bills so that we can continue this. And so I really appreciate the fact that we had a campaign last month. We met our goal. Actually, we met our goal long before the campaign ended, which is it actually ends officially July 2nd. And so I'm just thankful that we met our goals. And I want to say something on behalf of Rick Byrne and Six Screens of the Watchtower, because you don't hear him campaign a lot. You don't hear him ask for money. And he has on sixscreensofthewatchtower.com a donate button. And Rick, I tell you, he devotes a lot more time to this than I do. He's on all day Saturday, all night. He's on every other Sunday, all day from 1 o'clock to whenever it ends, which is usually on Sundays with the Sunday dinner at 8 o'clock with me. I come on from 6 to 8. And he never asks for money. He really comes out of pocket, and he devotes so much time to this, and he has to gather resources and people. And not everyone is most reliable for Rick, so he always has to try to fill in, and he does the best he can. And we know that his wife is dealing with illness, and I just really think that we could do something for Rick by showing our appreciation financially. And he's not going to make money out of this. This is not an issue of making money. I know some activists really they make good money out of doing this, and there's been some complaints about activists asking for money. But, any money that me or Rick would ask for if we did is to support the programming, to pay the bills. None of it is for our own, financial or fiscal betterment. We're not gaining a salary out of this. I know Randy Waters, for years at Free Minds, that was his only means of income, and I don't even know how he did it. He was able to make a little bit of money for himself, but it wasn't like a huge salary. I think he was making somewhat around minimum wage for his own expenses. He didn't have any other job, and Randy really struggled with Crohn's disease for many years. He still does, and people pulled through for him, and I just really think that we could really show our appreciation to Rick if we just pull through for him a little bit. And so there's a donate button at sixscreensofthewatchtower.com. And if you have it in your heart, please donate to sixscreensofthewatchtower.com. And whatever we do, we're actually doing out of a sense of charity because of the great deal of work we do, whether it's the guests that we pull or the time that we put into this. And Rick really comes out of his own coin. He goes and he does a lot more. He goes to actual sites where the Watchtower conventions are, and he devotes a great deal of time to protesting there. And so I just think that we could do a little something for Rick there. The other thing is that Healing X Outreach, I finally did it this year. The last couple of years, we've helped a ministry in Pakistan, and it's really just a Sunday school and orphanage. It's called Holy Heaven Ministry. And we helped them to campaign for their Christmas outreach that they do and their Easter outreach. And if you went to Evangelist Joyce Anushka's page, you can see pictures of I think they got sweaters for all the kids that they have. They have about 110 kids there in the orphanage there in Pakistan. And Pakistan does allow them to be a religious organization, but their neighbors, of course, would take a great deal of offense to that. And there are many Pakistani Christians that have been killed in Pakistan. And so on the Healing X Outreach Archives page, there is on the About the Ministry, there's a link to Holy Heaven Ministries blog page. And if you could donate to them also, it doesn't have to be a campaign month. We will be campaigning for their Christmas outreach this September. We will also be campaigning for their Easter outreach for the kids there in February, in February. That's when I normally do it. We've done it sporadically, but we're going to do this annually now. And I really wanted our outreach to be the official sponsor for Holy Heaven Ministry in Pakistan. And I hope everybody can hear me in the video suite. Can everybody hear me in the video suite? Anybody just say if you can hear me in the video suite, just type in hi, Gus, or something. But, yeah, that's what we really want to be the official sponsor for this ministry. They help 110 kids out. They've given them sweaters, socks. Those are small things for us, but they're huge things for those kids who are orphans, and some of those kids are, single mothers, widows, and that are trying to raise their children there in Pakistan. And, of course, they're under the threat. Thank you, Rick. They're under the threat of course, of death and persecution and possibly being jailed for the work that they do. And so if you could go ahead and donate to them, please do so. So I think that I've covered all the bases here, and I'm ready to go on with our guest. And our guest is a guy who I met through YouTube as Christian Toth, and his name is Larry Gonzales, and he's on Facebook. And so he's a former Jehovah's Witness, a great guy. I got to meet him last year at the Witnesses Now for Jesus convention, which will be coming up this October. And so without further ado, Larry, you're on the air.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Larry?
Pretty good. How's everything going with you guys?
Oh, I'm doing great. We have some callers in there listening by phone. We have some people in the video suite. Hopefully more will be coming. And so, I'm sure people are listening also on the Six Springs line. We're tied in to the Six Springs line. So I can't see who's on the Six Springs line, but I can see who's on the Blog Talk line. So we have people that are listening on three vehicles of social media here. And Christian Toth. I want everyone to learn the background. What does the word Toth mean? And you have a YouTube channel. I just let everybody know his YouTube channel. I have it advertised right here, but you can just go on the search for Christian Toth on YouTube, and his YouTube videos will show up. So what does Toth mean? What is the significance of that?
Well, it's just basically an acronym. It's TOTH, and it's how I feel about when I stepped out of the Watchtower. I was tired of the hypocrisy, and so I just kind of shortened it just to make it easier.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what I want everybody to. That we all can identify with that acronym. I think so. Larry, I haven't listed you as a second-generation Jehovah's Witness. That means that your parents were the ones who were converted. What about the rest of your extended family, your grandparents and uncles and aunts? Are they not Jehovah's Witnesses, or some of them witnesses?
No, they were vehemently opposed to the Jehovah's Witnesses. My folks really had a hard time converting over because when my folks came into the organization, they right away wanted to share it with the family, and they went to grandparents and brothers and sisters and everybody, and they were like, oh, no, you were mixed up with the wrong crew, and they brought out all kinds of stuff. They would turn into these shouting matches at times, especially we'd go over to my mom and dad. And, my grandfather already had a very powerful, booming voice as it was. But, I remember he went to the house one time, and he walked out of our house and stamped his feet. He got the dust off his feet, and he walked away and got in his truck and drove off. So, there were some pretty heated discussions back in those days.
Now, the rest of your extended family, are they, do they go to churches or anything like that?
The majority of them, I think, pretty much do. I've got a couple of cousins that are still in the organization, and they're like second cousins. I think they're not first cousins.
Okay.
Most of my first cousins are on my mom's side. I think most of them are tied in with the Pentecostal church of some kind. I think Assemblies of God, and let's see, I've got some other ones that are Catholic. And
because you're like me. You're Hispanic, so all Spanish people are either Catholic or Pentecostal.
yeah, they're pretty much that way.
They're either liturgical or just outright wild in church. Hallelujah church.
Oh yeah, I've got some of them. They used to call them holy rollers. I don't know what they call them nowadays, but I think they may just call them a little charismatic now. But they used to, they really do go out there, and it's very energetic,
So do you have any brothers or sisters?
My brother passed away almost 6 years ago, and I've got a sister who's alive now. She's still with us.
But not, so both your brothers and sisters, they were both raised as witnesses like you, right?
Yeah, we're all raised, together in that situation. But nobody's in. I mean, my mom's not in anymore. And it's been really easy for me to kind of fade out because my brother, he had faded before I did. And my sister, she eventually just faded out altogether too. So I'm not getting a whole lot of family pressure to come back to Jehovah,
Wow.
I kind of made it easy. I mean, got it out easy because, I'm dealing with, I know Rebecca, Cuckoo for the Truth, and it's horrible for her and her family because they've got family still in, and I see the amount of suffering that they go through, and I see other people on YouTube and on these shows like you got, and they are suffering horribly because of their family pressure. And I've been blessed, and I have to deal with that so much.
Yeah, and it's about to get worse thanks to the convention videos that they have now that really putting the pressure on the witnesses.
Some link to that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, what's really, really bad, I think, is that on one of the convention videos of the young girl who gets disfellowship, I'm not sure if it was because she had another relationship outside of the organization. I don't know if the video really makes it clear why she was disfellowshipped, but she happens to be on a couch somewhere because she left the house or was put out with that conversation she had with her dad in the video. But the thing that really, really irks me about the video is that she's calling her parents from wherever she's at, and her mom looks at the phone and sees her number and doesn't bother to pick up. And I think that sends an image to Jehovah's Witnesses to don't even bother to pick up the phone. I mean, we don't know why she's calling. She could be calling
she could be
because she wants to come back. Yeah, she could want to come back, but she's not going to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
So that sends a really bad image. Yeah, it's terrible, and I think that's going to really send an image to witnesses that don't even bother to pick up the phone, and that's really irks me. Now,
I think most of them, a lot of people are just right there on that edge, just looking for an excuse, and now they're getting an excuse because the society is condoning that kind of ridiculous behavior. Yeah,
now the thing about the videos that are damning to them is the fact that now what they've denied openly in public that they don't shun is now it's openly admitted through their videos that they do. So it's a strong piece of evidence against them. So
they're pretty much wrapping the noose around their own neck,
I think that's it. Just I don't even understand how that happens, but they do happen to really wind up giving the evidence against their own cases. I mean, they'll openly deny things in court, like they did at the Australian Commission, where Brother Jackson denied that they shun members, but then but they don't think that we don't have access to their convention videos or their magazines that really says that they do. I don't understand how they could logically deny things openly and yet at the same time in their literature or now in video they absolutely hypocritically admit to the things that they've denied.
Oh yeah, that's the crux of the Watchtower Society is their ability to just be total hypocrites about everything.
I think it's kind of it's really stupidity on their account because I think that the next commission is going to be the UK commission. I think is coming down on them in the United Kingdom, and all anybody has to do is to really show some of these videos or somehow slip in these videos to the UK commission, and so that they can, if they invite one of the governing body, they show up and they say, well, check out this video you guys put out, Yeah. You're lying. So, now you said your mom faded out and your brother faded out. What about your dad?
My dad passed away in 1994, and he was still in. We're all pretty much still at least attending somewhat. But my dad passed away in it.
Oh, okay. So then you really, that's great that you don't have any pressure then from your family. Now, who was the first? You said who was the first to fade? Was it your brother that was the first one to fade out?
We were kind of hot and cold witnesses most of the time when we were growing up. My folks would get a belly full of either crap from the local congregation or just nonsensical teachings that weren't based in the Bible. And if my dad was anything, he was a student of the Bible, and he knew when something was coming from there and when it wasn't. And he'd talk to them, and they would say, well, just wait on Jehovah, blah, blah, blah. And so he'd say, you know what, I can't with good conscience continue to go to this place. And so back then in the early 70s, you could vote with your feet and not really have any trouble. They wouldn't disfellowship you or shun you because you didn't show up for a while,
Right.
So we would be lured back in with the memorial's coming up, can't forget that. So my folks would try and give him another chance, and then more crap would come up. But yeah, my brother, he was mistreated in the congregation, and so he just kind of left on his own. He had kind of hurt feelings, and he felt that there was a lot of hypocrisy going on too. So he just kind of faded out.
So
but right around the time that my dad died is a real sore point with me and a lot of my family. Because my dad, he claimed to be of the anointed class.
Oh, wow.
And
so
was sick in the hospital.
Was it your brother that was the first doubting Thomas?
No, not really. I mean, I had my doubts from a long time back, but I mean, he just had enough, and he just refused to go back. And at the time, I wanted to quit too, but I was married to a lady at the time who was very much tied in with her overzealous family of JWs, and in order to keep her from being, treated badly by her family, I had to kind of toe the line a little bit.
So
yeah, he was.
So then you had gotten married to another witness in the organization. This was So I guess were you raised at what point did your parents convert? Did they convert early in your youth, or was it somewhere around in your teenage years?
I was around 5 years old when the couple came over to study with my folks.
Oh, okay.
And I remember they were just about ready to get baptized or had been baptized by the time I hit first grade. So I caught all that, no saluting the flag stuff, and no Christmas drawings and no artwork, none of that stuff. I couldn't do none of it. So I was pretty young. My sister, I think, was an infant. And my little brother was like a year behind me in school.
And so, that's pretty good that it's like almost the entire family kind of have faded out. I mean, and I've heard of witnesses fading out for all kinds of reasons, and some of them have faded out but still kind of believe. Because I think what you mentioned before is what happens to a lot of witnesses is they'll fade out. And for example, I have there was a lady. I work in the government, and there was a lady. The lady who hired me was an inactive witness. I didn't know it at the time. And but even though she was inactive, and she still believed in the organization completely. I mean, she was inactive. She still believed. And what happened was I always thought that people that stopped going into Kingdom Halls were, I thought, well, they must be apostates too, because I was reading the Crisis book. And so I found out that she was a witness who stopped going to the hall. And I went up to talk to her about, and of course, me being very innocent, raised in an organization, I went up to her and I said, oh, have you heard about Ray Franz? And she didn't know who Ray Franz was from from Michael Jackson to anybody, you know. She just didn't know who any of the governing body were by name. And then I showed her the book, Christ is a Conscience, and she was like, no, it's the truth. And she still believed in it, whole stock, you know, stock, lock, and barrel. But she left. The reason why she left was she got married to a non-witness. He was a church-going guy, and her son had passed away, and she just never went back because she felt she needed to get her life straight to go back. And I think that what happens is a lot of people, some people that fade out of the organization, they feel like the organization has really, really high standards, and they just can't meet them right now, and that they'll one day go when they can meet them. And so, for example, you're absolutely convinced that the organization is a false religion and that it's hypocrisy, you know. But is that the case with all of your family members that faded out? Are you the only
not really.
I'm saying?
With my brother, yeah. With my brother, yeah. But as far as my mom, she kind of still holds to some of the teachings, and some of them, the teachings are rooted in what her dad had taught her when she was really young. And so whatever she learned from the Bible, she wants to hang on to, and I don't blame her, you know.
Right.
But my kid sister, I think she kind of still believes some of it too. You know, she's really, I don't know if she would be prepared to come out and say, yeah, it's all false. Because I've talked to her a couple of times in the past couple of years, and she's mentioned that some things that she thought that, you know, they're still right on or whatever. Well, my brother and I had a closer relationship with my brother than most people have with a brother. We're almost like twins, you know. We did everything together, and so when we talked about this, I was able to get into more detail about how I felt than I would say with my mom or my sister, because I'd be kind of afraid, you know, that they were going to judge me or whatever. But because they, you know, they really still hold some beliefs pretty strong, you know. Well, my brother and I talked about it, and it's like, this can't be true. This really can't be. Look at what they did here and here and here. And if, you know, if this was God's true organization, it wouldn't be. So, yeah, this has to be entirely false. And so that's how he and I looked at it. But he was still afraid. I mean, before he died, he had to have blood transfusion, and he was refusing it. And a mutual friend of ours called me and said, I'm here at the hospital. He was like 200 miles away from me. I didn't even know he was in the hospital yet. And they said, he's here in the hospital. His blood count is way down. He needs a blood transfusion. And I need you to talk to him because he says that he can't have one because he don't want to dishonor his father and grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And so I called him up and asked him what was going on, and he told me, and I said, well, you know you can have it, right? And he goes, Mom and Carl are going to quit talking to me if I bled. And I said, so who said? And I read him, there's a scripture in one of the Samuels that talks about how King Saul, his men were starving, and they ate with the blood still in it. And I said, he didn't rain down fire and brimstone on them. He said they were unclean for a few days. You know? Right. That's not a death sentence, I told him. If you're going to, and that goes for eating blood. That's what the big sin is. It's the eating of it, not a medical procedure.
Right.
You know, and so he said, well, okay then, and he took it. And later on when it came out, we were talking to my mom and my sister, and they both said that they would have never quit talking to him over that. So that also showed me they weren't really so hardline on some of the teachings, too. You know, so I was able to come out a little more after that. I was able to show them, you know, some of the things that I found out. And they were a little bit flabbergasted, but, you know, they're seeing. Every day I talk to my mom because she's staying with me now. And I was just talking to her about these latest videos, and she was just like, oh, my God, she's a bunker. You know, really?
Right. So, the bunker videos that they're showing. Now, has your mom or your sister read the Crisis book by Ray?
I don't believe either one of them has. I've only gotten part way through it. I've been trying to read it online, but my vision is just about gone.
Wow.
I have to get an audio or something.
Yeah, I think everybody is waiting for Debbie Dykstra to start republishing the book. I think she's. I'm part of a Facebook group where some of us admins. It's a pretty big Facebook group, but we're really we're just on pins and needles waiting for Debbie to, start republishing the Crisis book, because right now, to get a Crisis book, it's going to cost you over $100.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, if you go, and what I used to do is I would buy like the first editions. The first editions were cheaper, but now first, second, third, fourth edition, any edition of the Crisis book is in such demand. I think the cheapest you can get is about $50, and I'm sure $50 the books are first editions.
Yeah.
Which is really exorbitant for any book, but and not to saying that the Crisis book is not worth the $50. It's definitely worth the coin, but not everybody has $50 to spend for a book. The most I've ever spent for a book was about $110, because it was out of. But like I said, we want the Crisis book should be available at a feasible cost for people. And when it was out, I think when it was out, it was on. I think it was like about $15 when it was available, maybe $13. So when Debbie put it back in circulation, and we'll hopefully be able to get that book because it's in demand. Everybody's waiting for it. Everybody needs to read that book. That's I think a critical book in anybody's transition out of the witnesses. That will really, it just opens up the door to really being convinced, hey, these guys are complete. They can't have, this is not God's organization. It really opens that door.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
I remember back in like 1984, I was exposed to some apostate literature. Somebody mailed me, or mailed to the house, several things it was like on mimeograph paper. It was like before copy machines, and it was kind of hard to read it. And I took it to one of my buddies at the hall, and he tore it in front of me. He said, "This is apostate literature," and he just tore it and threw it away. So I didn't really get the full use of it. I was just trying to get his help with it to see if I could verify some of it. Just tore it.
Yeah, and I know that some of the apostate literature that was about somewhere near important and if you're out there, if you're looking for something similar, maybe to give to a fellow witness that's on the brink of needing something to read, I suggest David Reed's Blood on the Altar, and he's a former elder. But the thing is that you can't the pull from that title, governing body member. You can't. You just that title right there for most witnesses is unheard of. Governing body member that left is what really it makes you want to read it. You have to read it. This is a former governing body member. Wow.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that book is important now. I knew Debbie years ago. She was with BRCI, and I don't know how far back you go if you remember BRCI. BRCI, of course, Ray was somewhat affiliated with BRCI. He would show up at BRCI conventions, and so no doubt he felt enough confidence in Debbie Dykstra to give her the copyrights to the book. But I really hope that some people have said that maybe it's a watchtower ploy that it's not being published, and so I just hope that's not the case. I know Debbie's always been a rock star person, at least back then. But I know that.
Well, I'm sure they would love to buy the copyright to it so they could quash it,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they would love to. or maybe even pay someone under the table to not publish it. Mm-hmm. That's some of the things that are being passed around. But I know that Debbie's a solid person, so I'm sure that it's just there's some things that are tying her up from getting it mass published. And plus, I'm sure that once it gets republished again, she wants it to be, airtight, as in it being available for everyone. But so what was your aha moment? I mean, I know that we all have like that moment where we're like, I'm not so sure about that. For me, I remember coming to my wife about the name. Somebody, I was working as a pizza restaurant manager, and somebody really put something a bug in my ear, and the bug stood in my head, and I came home and I told my wife, you know what? If we're Jehovah's Witnesses, how come we don't use the most accurate name? I mean, Yahweh, they admit is the most accurate name. But how come we're not Yahweh's Witnesses? I remember telling my wife that. And that was like the thing that had me a little second guessing. But for me, the Crisis book was full-fledged apostasy. That's when I became a complete apostate, reading the Crisis book. What was that moment for you, your aha moment?
Well, I had my first one before I even got baptized. It was in 1975. I sat through all those assemblies and all those meetings, and everything was pointing to 75, and then nothing happened. And so I was kind of like, okay, so this has been a big pile of BS. And I was like, what was I, 13, I guess, 14 when 75 came and went. So that was that. I didn't get baptized until I was 19. And so I was already not really believing in it by the time I got baptized. And the thing that really pushed me over was that whole UN connection.
Right.
I mean, I was already on the fence for the longest time, and I had already seen a lot of hypocrisy and BS that just showed me that it couldn't possibly an organization actually made by God Almighty. So I had that already, but that whole UN thing, I grew up in the 60s and the early 70s, man. Babylon the Great, this and that and the other. Babylon the Great, it's the UN, blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, all the imagery in the books about how Babylon was going to be destroyed by the UN,
right,
and the whole deal. And we have to be far away from the UN as possible because it is the detestable thing and blah, blah, blah. And now they're tied up with it. And I didn't buy that library card thing either. And so that was pretty much it. I knew this is for sure BS because they have said you can't have anything to do with it, and now they're up to their neck with it. So I said, this is total BS.
How did you learn about the UN scandal? Was that online, or did somebody...
It was before online. It was something that somebody had put in my ear. It was a cousin of mine, I think. We were talking, and they said, well, I know you guys were always, had books like, Babylon the Great has Fallen, and it talks a lot about the United Nations being Satan's group. And did you know that the Watchtower's part of it now? And I'm like, that couldn't be, man. I said, you're clear, you got to be so full of crap. And he goes, well, he said, you just research it then. And I think it was my cousin.
So, did you, know where to research it? Did you go on the computer or?
Well, it wasn't really the computer back then. As soon as I was able to get a hold of a computer when I was at work one day, I researched it, and there it was, plain as day. This was like in 94, 95.
Wow.
I had to go through the newspaper at the library. And I actually looked it up on a microfiche machine and found it on a microfiche and something in the New York Times copy that they had.
Oh, that's real research. That's
old school research, yeah. So see, you gotta know, I was 5 or 6 years old, and I'm finding out that a lot of crap, my whole life has been wasted, really. I better make sure of it,
Right.
And then I'm dealing with a...
you lived through the '75 fiasco.
Oh yeah.
So your parents they bought into the 1975 was the October '75 was going to be the great day of Armageddon, or
that's the only reason they came in, dude.
Yeah.
That's the only reason they came in. My mom and dad were a young couple, and this older couple came in, and they started talking to them about 1975. And they said, my dad was already a Bible student and wasn't really all that interested, and my mom wasn't really either. But they put it to him this way: you've got this little boy and this little boy, and you've got a little one on the way. Jehovah's going to destroy them on account of you. You want that. So they scared the hell out of my parents, and by making them sound like Jehovah was going to destroy us little kids because my parents couldn't get in line.
Wow. So so no doubt that affected your entire family.
And then that same guy turned around and beat up my mom with a shovel one day. The elder in the congregation beats up my mom because he was cheating us out of money. So he beats up my mom with a shovel.
Wow. So, I guess how was that to I guess there must have been a disappointment somewhere on the 75 thing.
Oh yeah, there was. Yeah, there was a big build up to it. And I remember in the spring of '75, there was a huge, just a buzz in the air about it's here. It's just a matter of time now. We've got till the end of the summer, and that is going to be it, you know. And then nothing happened. And they were saying, well, you know, you people had it wrong. We never said anything about it being Armageddon. We said that it was, you know, going to be the end of the 6,000-year reign. You know, we're moving into the seventh day or something. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Wow.
I used to work with a guy. I didn't know him before 1975. I started working with him like in 81 or 82 at a gas station. And he saw my Green Dragon Bible there that I had kept with me. And he said, are you a witness? And I told him, yeah. And he said, he used to be. He said, you know, you've been lied to. He was telling me all about 1975. And he was a sharp guy. He was actually a chemist who needed to work there because he couldn't find other work. And he finally ended up getting a job working over the northern slope of Canada, where they're working near Alaska, doing some kind of chemical work for a oil company or something. So he was a sharp guy. He was just working there, and I think maybe he had just been working there just to, you know, put a bug in my ear. And I think I'd just been baptized, and he was undoing everything that they were teaching me, just with a few words here and there.
So at what point did you go supposedly full-fledged apostate? I mean, where you decided that I wanted to be a part of doing something about this.
This was a couple of years ago, maybe. Yeah, a couple of years ago, I guess. I was out. I had quit going to meetings like back in the mid-'90s. I was just so done. And I knew I couldn't force my son to go because I knew it was BS, so why would I pollute my son's mind with it? You know, and so my wife would go sometimes. She was really overzealous, but when it came to meeting attendance and field service, she didn't really do much. I think she just wanted to look like she was a zealous witness. And so she didn't really whine too much because I didn't send my son to go.
You know, Larry, I got to backtrack because I'll tell you what, you don't look as old as what I'm hearing from what I've met you. And I figured you was probably in my age bracket, but it sounds like you're a lot older than I am. So
no, I'm 54, dude.
Oh, okay, you're about a little more than 10 years older than I am. So at what point? So you must have got married in the organization, and you had a son. So
right.
At what point did you get married in the organization? You're a young guy, bro.
Well, it was 1990 when I got married. I was 27.
Wow. So, okay, so did you got married to another witness? Did you have like a Kingdom Hall wedding or?
No, we were denied that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but she was the one that
before, and she wouldn't get in line with her hairstyle and her makeup and all that. So they tried to pressure me. They said, well, now you're going with her. We didn't want you to go with her because we know who she is. But now that you're going with her, you've got to rein her in, dude. You got to get her to pull that hair down, and you got to get that makeup off, and you got to tell her to quit wearing those pencil skirts and all that, stuff. And I'm like, that's who she was when I saw her. Why am I going to tell her to change? And so then I kind of fell out of favor too. And so they said, well, you can't have the wedding here then. And I'm like, okay. And so I went and rented another place. And then she went whining to her dad that they weren't going to let her get married in the Kingdom Hall, and he went over there. Big Daddy's here. You're going to let my baby get married in here. I'm going to kick your ass. And, oh, okay. So they said, well, you can have it in the hall now. And I said, I don't want it in the hall now. Screw you guys. You're dictating to everybody what you think, you can. And then we're just supposed to come crawling back. I said, I'm not going to do it here, never now. I just had enough,
So you had a son. How old is your son now?
Oh, he's 24.
24.
He's got a bigger mouth than I ever did, man. He would go to the meetings and pick them apart, man. So I gave him some weapons to defend himself from these people. I gave him the ability to think for himself and to use critical thinking skills. They hated that, man. We're because of financial situation, we had lost a house, and I had to stay with my father-in-law for a while, which of course meant meeting attendance. And so there was this brother came over, and he had heard that little Larry, hadn't been studying at the hall or with anybody, and so he said, "You studying with your son?" I said, "Yeah, we spend probably a half an hour a day in the Word." Which is like a buzzword. You say that, and they know that you're not to them anymore. And we were reading the Bible about a half hour a day. And he said, well, he really needs to be studying the literature if he's going to make any progress in the organization. Would it be all right with you if I study with him since you're not doing it? And that was supposed to be a jab at my parenting skills, I guess. And so I said, you're going to have to ask him how he feels about it. I'll go along with it if he does. And little Larry just looked at me with this grin. Like, I still remember it right now. It makes me laugh every time I think about it. And he goes, okay. He was a little kid back then. He was like this 14 or something like that. He goes, okay. That guy made the biggest mistake in his life trying to study with him because he never let him go on one point that didn't get fully explained. And when there was no explanation, he'd call BS and go, okay, this is bullshit. Okay, on to the next one, And, the guy just didn't know what to do with him. He finally quit studying with him because he couldn't make any progress with him. All you have to do is use a little critical thinking, and then their studies go away.
So when did you go into the YouTube channel? When did you get started into activism?
Oh, I guess that would have to be around maybe 2010, 2011, sometime around there. I started looking into certain other things because I started seeing things on the thing talk about the United Nations thing, and then there were some other things, and I saw something, the VAA, the Vast Apostate Army, and that guy used to crack me up. I can't remember what his name is, but he got a couple of guys that would go on there and talk with him. And he was talking about...
Bill
Bowen. Was it?
The VA.
No, it wasn't Bowen. It was a young kid with a shaved head. He looked like a young kid in his 20s with a shaved head. And he was part of the Vast Apostate Army, and he was going to march on Watchtower. And so I started watching that guy and some other stuff, and then I went on to some, some some bulletin boards, and that's where I saw like Cedars, and I saw some other people posting really, really damning evidence against Watchtower. And so I got kind of, there's more here. Here's stuff I can share with people, you know.
So prior to that, were you aware about other ex-witnesses and the work that they were doing?
No, not really. I knew they had to be out there because we were told about it back in the 80s. They said, watch out for these apostates. They're going to come into the assembly, and they're going to try and pull you out to follow them. And so I knew there was some kind of a little organization going on because they told us about them. And they were organized enough to compile some information to mail it to me, a bunch of, mimeograph paper,
Right.
But I didn't know that it was as organized as it is now.
Well, no,
the
it's
social
never
media,
been really organized as it is now.
Watchtower. What's
that? It's never been as organized as it is now. I mean,
it's very organized right now.
Yeah. I mean, there was, I come from a time when, I guess, ex-witnesses, this is before the internet, of course, the way activism was done, what people call activism, we called ministry then, because it was really, there was no, I guess, non-believers type of activism back then. It all stemmed from people who were believers.
Right.
The Christians that you had like basically you had two factions or forms of activism. You had Ray's somewhat group, which was Ron Fry, Marilyn's Rifle. They had a 1-800-Y-1914 hotline, and that was on 24/7. And BRCI, which stood for Biblical Research Commentary International, was kind of affiliated with the Free Bible students. It was somewhat affiliated with the Free Bible students because just incidentally, some of them were Free Bible students. I think Ron and Ross and some of them were. But on the other end, you had the Witnesses Now for Jesus Convention, which was kind of like the evangelical wing of activism. And so basically what everybody did then was, this was before voicemail, you had answering machines. And so you would make a pre-recorded message on the answering machine, and you would probably put a little ad in the local free newsletter or free, stuff that goes in laundromats.
Oh, yeah.
People would call for the pre-recorded message. And so that's how that was pretty much done back then. Or you would advertise it in some kind of local newspaper, and people would call and they would get the pre-recorded message.
Put in the penny saver or something?
Yeah, penny saver, stuff like that, exactly, like the penny saver. And and that's how you would get in contact. Marilyn had a list of people that she could contact if you were in the area. Marilyn's wife was the one who was with the 1-800-Y-1914 hotline. She just passed away, I think, 3 years ago.
Oh.
But and so Marilyn would of course have a list of people, and I think really Barbara Anderson does something like that now. Barbara Anderson has a list of people that she knows. I'm on that list. And if she meets somebody that calls her or they want to get in contact with someone in their area, she'll say, "Oh, I know just the person for you." Randy used to do that.
Randy Waters?
Yeah, Randy used to do that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are some of the names that stand out. I mean, I used to see on some of the boards something from Barbara Anderson or a lot of stuff from Randy Waters. I mean, with his Free Mind site, that really opened me up to a lot of stuff. You still there?
Oh, there you go.
Hang on for a minute and see what's going on.
It's me. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. I hear you now.
Yeah, I got disconnected somehow. So,
Oh, okay.
I hate it when people try to call me on this line while I'm doing the show.
Oh, yeah.
So I hung up on the wrong person. Anyway, so Randy used to do the same thing, and of course we all exchange lists of people that we would have in contact. So right now it's really activism is at its best because everybody's online, everybody's connected.
Social media,
yeah. I mean, I learned about you through the YouTube community, and it's almost like the YouTube community is for a long time had a life of its own community.
right.
But now you have the YouTube community, you have the podcast community, and now we're starting to come together.
Right.
So the organization is getting better and better now. It's just amazing.
And the Watchtower organization is just suffering it more and more every day, dude.
Yeah,
They're hemorrhaging people like crazy.
Oh yeah. Because the more that we work cooperatively, as far as we're all feeding each other information, and we're actually dispensing that information at a more efficient rate now. Now the typical Jehovah's Witness can't possibly get online without combing through some of that information somehow, even incidentally.
You put anything into Google, and probably something negative will be the first thing that pops up,
Yeah. And even on Facebook now has phased in something where anybody who shares a certain item, it becomes viral. And so if you're just combing through Facebook, for example, all these videos, the bunker videos,
right?
All the convention videos now are popping up all over Facebook because it's been shared. So along with the Cat and America's Got Talent videos.
Yeah.
Crazy cat videos, America's Got Talent videos, and then you'll have a
crazy
bunker
cat
video.
Crazy JWs.
So whatever gets shared the most eventually pops up,
Yeah.
So now they can't even avoid it. All the information is being dispensed. It's just even though
there's a lot of them. They don't even know anything about these investigations that Australia and the UK have been doing. A lot of European countries are, finding out a lot of nonsense about the Watchtower, and they keep as many JWs in the dark as they can, dude. A lot of people have no idea what's going on, and then they make a very firm defense and a very, sincere defense of what they think is a clean organization. And they're finding out that it's garbage. I mean, it makes a fool out of you, and then people get mad,
Yeah, it's amazing. And because of the YouTube community, stuff like the stuff that you guys are doing, stuff that you've done, people. I think YouTube is still a step ahead of popularity than Facebook is, as far as giving something that people can tangibly see, because people might not be great readers, but videos is the format that a lot of people learn stuff today. And the reason why I know is because a lot of misinformation is also popularized by videos. I mean, people, a lot of ex-witnesses will come up to me with some really, really garbage teaching that is not historical, and they're just repeating actually the same history that the witnesses taught them on Christianity, for example. I mean, and I asked them, so where did you learn that? And of course, I know where they learned it. They learned it from YouTube because they don't pick up a book and read. They don't know anything about real, tangible history.
Well, I mean,
And
you
so,
can look at something on YouTube, but you've always got to be prepared to check your sources, man. You know, you can't just, I mean, I could get up and, post a video, that so-and-so did this and that and the other, but if I don't have something to back it up, it's nonsense,
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good information on YouTube also. So, I mean, but you have to be able to distinguish that by, some really first-hand sources. What I mean is there's a difference between a first-source historian and a second-source historian. A second-source historian is someone who has learned history by reading another historian's book. First-source historian is someone who has learned history by actually reading the actual sources. And so, I can if I'm a first-source historian, I can pretty much tell the difference between that's the cream of the crop or that's just crap. And a lot of us just tend to really just have a whole lot of crap. But now I want to get to the second part of your story because you have a son, you have a wife, and now she's your ex.
Right.
So what was it? I mean, no doubt you was the one who was supposed to straighten her out about the witnesses, but she became the more zealot one.
Well, yeah, she was always she talked a good story, but I mean, being married to her was an exercise in confusion. It was nonsense. No birthdays, no. It was the typical JW teaching on most holidays and stuff like that. But it was okay to send the kids trick or treating if it would get them out of the house. And she wasn't big on going out in field service. She wasn't big on real stellar meeting attendance. She cussed like a sailor, And I mean, I'm not trying to badmouth her. I'm just explaining how confusing it was because I mean everybody had to toe the line. JW Swiss. If Daddy came around, everybody better be on point and act like a JW and just live your life however you want. Just make sure Daddy don't find out about it. So there was a lot of hypocrisy right there in my own house. And so my son grew up with very confused upbringing. He was how wrong it is to steal from God's point of view. Forget the JWs. I mean, most of society condemns stealing, whether it's a religious or a secular thing. It's stealing's wrong, and she's teaching him to go shoplifting. I mean, that's just nonsense. That's the kind of stuff he grew up with, and I'm trying to always be honest. And you find something, you turn it in, and hopefully the person gets it back, and never take something that's not yours. Well, Mommy said to steal this steak,
Right.
Okay, what's this? And then try and talk to her about it, and I was supposed to shut my face and just let it go. It's very weird when you're married to a narcissist, I mean, there's very few female narcissists that I've ever heard of, and she's definitely one of them. Full blown, dude.
So, that I find that, especially more current Jehovah's Witnesses. Me and you come from a time when Jehovah's Witnesses normally acted like Jehovah's Witnesses. What I mean is,
they toed the line. Most of them did.
Yeah.
They might live a secret life or something, but they were pretty much towing the line.
Right. And now, from what I've seen, especially online, and I have a good friend, Bridget Anderson. She's on Facebook, and she's a Christian. She never was a Jehovah's Witness. And Bridget called. She called Jehovah's Witnesses. She purposely encounters them at the carts. And we have a Facebook group that really has a lot of active Jehovah's Witnesses on there. And Bridget, us admins share information, and Bridget will share something where some Jehovah's Witness or Sally Peterson or some of the admins that we have there, they've encountered these Jehovah's Witnesses, and the stuff that these Jehovah's Witnesses say online, I mean, the language.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot believe that these people are actually consider themselves really Jehovah's Witnesses, and, I mean, they will condemn you online as being apostate, but they won't do
they'll judge you, they'll condemn you, they'll lay the sentence on you, the whole thing.
Yeah. But they won't just do that. They will, I mean, use really, really filthy language while doing it.
Oh, yeah. I can't tell you how many times I was called a mofo or whatever,
Yeah. Unbelievable. I'm like, how are you to condemn anybody using that potty mouth you got?
Yeah.
And so now Jehovah's Witnesses online, they feel no conflict in condemning people as not being true Christians while you...
No, you're dead already as far as they're concerned. They think they can get away with it.
But then they're not using the language a true Christian would use. It's really...
Well, I don't think they're concerned with it.
No. Unbelievable.
They're anonymous. They think Jehovah can't read their IP address, I guess.
Which really exacerbates the situation, because that means that really they think that their God Jehovah doesn't see what they're doing, and that they're justified in cursing out someone because they're no longer a Jehovah's Witness. At least they perceive them to be no longer a Jehovah's Witness. And they think that God doesn't condemn them for using that kind of language. It's I mean, the filthiest language I've ever seen.
And their own governing body condemned them just for being online in the first place.
Yes. Yeah.
They're not even supposed to be there.
And engaging ex-witnesses. And what's really crazy is that they will come on these groups, and they will find out, okay, it's not a group of active Jehovah's Witnesses. These are definitely some former Jehovah's Witnesses here. And instead of just, leaving the group, they can't just leave the group. They have to first of all say, get me out of here, away from all of you filthy blankety blank ex-Jehovah's Witnesses or apostate. So you don't want to have a quiet exit. You got to cuss out a couple of them.
Oh, yeah. Well, that proves that they're zealous for Jehovah.
Yeah. So your son, he himself was kind of raised as a witness, and is he an activist like you are? He doesn't really care. He even kind of gets on me once in a while. He goes, "You're spending a little too much time on that stuff, Dad." He goes, "You have to just let it go." Yeah.
And I've trimmed it down quite a bit. I think I've got over 50 videos on my YouTube channel, and I haven't made one since I got out here to Maryland. It's been over a year, I think, since I made one. And I just don't have my PC's, on the fritz, and I can't see well enough to really work this phone to get it to do anything for me. So I've kind of tuned out making videos. I do need to start making more videos, though. But, he's like, it's part of your life. Just learn from it and move forward, And I said, yeah, but I kind of feel a responsibility to help people, if they're struggling to get out, And so I do what I can, but my videos, most of them don't have my face on them because I was trying to protect my ex-wife at the time. Because if her family found out that I was involved with that, they would have come down on her, which is totally unfair and ridiculous. So I just kind of pointed the camera at the ceiling and just spoke my piece. I should be able to, make some decent ones now where I can at least scare everybody with my ugly mug. And look, don't let this happen to you. Get out of Jehovah's Witnesses before it's too late,
So now I want to get to the part now, the other part of your name, Christian. You chose Christian talk. We know a lot of ex-witnesses, and I have no fault or argument against ex-witnesses that want to be atheists or agnostics, and I understand the reason for being either of those.
I don't blame them. I mean, the Watchtower makes a hell of an effort to create atheists. You know? They ruin every other worldview, and then when they're ruined in your eyes, it leaves you with nothing. So I understand why some of them are atheistic.
Right. Same here. I completely understand why that would happen, and respect everyone who's on whatever part of the journey that they're on, because we're all on a journey. I mean, I'm not the same, even though I'm a Christian, I'm not the same Christian I was, I think, 17 years ago when I first became a Christian. I've evolved as a Christian. I've grown less judgmental as a Christian. I've become more open as a Christian. And also, I do have my own theological positions, which have I think have either matured or have completely irrigated out of my life. But the fact is that I think that once we become a Christian, we're never the same Christian that we are when we initially became one. We're in a process of sanctification. Yeah, we're growing.
That's probably very true.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that we change. It's not an issue of new light. It's an issue of just experience, and your walk with Christ is going to grow in time, and you have to weed out things in your personality or traits that are probably detrimental to yourself. You know, because I think that we all have aspects of us that we need to lop off in time, and it's just. Because we're just born selfish people. I mean, I was born a selfish person, and it's a matter of becoming less and less selfish every day, and becoming more and more giving, like Jesus was. So, at what point did you encounter Christianity? What was it what was it about Christianity that drew you towards that philosophy in life?
Well, I was very bitter about my experience in the Watchtower, but I wasn't making any progress in a spiritual way after I left. I'm an amputee. You met me at the Witnesses Now for Jesus convention, and so I'm an amputee. I lost my left foot, diabetic, and so. I was laid up in the hospital, and my best friend in the world, I've known him. I mean, there were times when my folks said he's not a witness. You can't even talk to him. He's bad association just for the fact that he's not a witness. And I've known him since I was in fourth grade, so I know him over 40 years now. And I've never stopped talking to him, regardless of whatever the consequences were going to be, because he's a kindred spirit to me. We've always been very close. And I was laid up in the hospital, and he called me out of the blue. And he said, I feel that there's something going on with you. What's wrong? And I said, well, I'm laid up in a rehab hospital here, dude. They cut off my foot. And he prayed with me, and then that's when I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior. We prayed together over the phone, and Jesus came into my life, and that's where I picked it up. That's when a door opened for me, and it all made sense. This is what I need to be doing. I don't need to be all bitter and harassing every witness that comes to my door, and I don't need to be angry all the time. This is my way now. And we were there talking one day, and I was still in the rehab hospital, and he called me to check on me, and he told me that he had sent me a Bible with my name on it. It was an NASB and the other one that comes with it, Amplified. And he said that he was talking to his pastor about a dream he had or a vision. And the pastor said, I know what the vision is. It was about your friend in the hospital, and he didn't even tell him about me.
Wow.
You know, he just said about your friend in the hospital, right? And he goes, I also saw him standing in front of a large crowd of people talking about the Lord. And that didn't make any sense to me, you know, because that's not me. I'm not some preacher guy that's going to stand in front of a crowd of people and say the first thing. You know, that's just not me. But the way James put it, he said it would probably be wise for you to say this prayer. He said, I know you're involved with the witnesses. He goes, and they're considered a cult. And it's satanic, he said. And so he showed me about how to pray to get rid of that from my life, to have the chains from the cult just fall off. And he said, and I want you to think about this. The vision I had and the vision my pastor had, that you may have that vision soon, he said, but consider this. You have a way to talk to many people who I can't talk to and who my pastor can't talk to because we're locked out. You know the inner workings of that group. You know how they think, and you know how to reach them. That could be the great crowd of people that you could be handed this ministry. Well, that's a ministry for you,
right.
Helping people to get out of that cult. Shine a light, he said. Don't hide your light under your bed. He will shine it to these people. Help them find the Lord. And I figured, well, a YouTube channel would probably do that. If I just talk and just say, this is the kind of stuff that happened to me. And some people come on and they say, well, you're a blah, 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 or whatever. And other people say, you know what? I thought I was the only one that went through that kind of stuff. You know, and after that, that's where I met, like, Jerry Jones. I'm going to give a big shout-out to Jerry Jones. That guy is prolific. That guy does a lot of videos, and he points out a lot of good stuff. You know, that's where I met Jerry. And that's how I met Becca. I mean, I turned it on, and there was Becca on there, and I said, well, let's hear what she's got to say. And Becca, I mean, cuckoo for the truth. I mean, you're not going to get more truth than talking to Becca, you know. She just lays it like it is, you know. She just says it. And people are mean to her, and they're hateful to her, and she just shines right through all that. You know, I admire her for that. I really have to bite my tongue and not go after these people.
Now, you said the other one is Jerry Jones. I haven't been on his page, so I have to check him out.
Yeah. I'll send you a link. He does a lot of videos. I mean, he's my age also, and he went exactly. I mean, it's in my story, are almost parallel exactly as far as our connection to the witnesses. You know. So we just got to naturally hit it off, I think.
Let me invite any of the listeners to call in. If you're on Blog Talk Radio and you want to go ahead and say a few words or share some things, the number is 347-934-0379, and just press 1. Just press 1 if you're on the Blog Talk line. If you're on the Six Screens line and you want to share something or talk to Larry or myself or just share something, press star 1. Star 1 if you're on the Six Screens line. And so I'm going to open up the lines and let people go ahead and share. If you're on the video suite and if you're listening either through Six Screens or on Blog Talk, of course, star 1 for Six Screens and just press 1 for Blog Talk, and I'll go ahead and open up the line for you to go ahead and ask any questions, share a comment. Maybe you want to share a little something about yourself that what Larry has shared today has maybe touched you or you're familiar with, or maybe you've been through the 1975 fiasco, maybe the UN scandal was your awakening moment. Maybe it was the Crisis of Conscience book. You know, anything that you want to go ahead and share, just press star 1 or press 1. And so that I can go ahead and open up the lines for you guys. And I don't know which one, Rick. I don't know which number is the 6 screens number. Rick, can you press star 1 so I can know which one is yours, so I can open it up for you?
You are now muted.
Okay. I think I already got you.
You are now unmuted.
All right, cool.
You got me on there now, Gus?
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, I just wanted to know if I had the right one on there.
Yeah, like, in fact, we're glad you had Larry on there with you today. My goodness, he's doing a fantastic job. Got a bunch of people listening in the radio network, and we really appreciate him coming on and talking with you. And, it's all of these things that got us all seeing the Watchtower was a cult and is a cult. And to hear stories of people coming on, it's like it's deja vu all over again,
Amen. Absolutely. So, right now I'm seeing a lot of. I think that I've seen advertised on Facebook, and I think I don't know if it's by the Watchtower themselves, but they're saying that they've absolutely finished the project they have there, upstate New York. That they finished the facility. I don't know if that's false advertising on their behalf or it's true. But I know that Johnny said that they're still, a long ways away from being finished there. And so, I'm sure they've got a lot of interior stuff that they've got to finish that they haven't done. But I saw on Facebook it looked like the complex was done. So I'm sure, Rick, you're gonna probably.
Yeah, what's going on up there, Gus, is they got most of the shell up, most of the outside building. There's still a lot of inside work. Johnny says they're going to start moving some people in, kind of just like moving into your house before it's finished, and that's what they're going to be doing. So basically, I guess they really hustled like crazy to get the outside all pretty much fixed up, but there's still a lot of work to be done inside.
Yeah, I think they want to make it look attractive so that everybody else would be impressed, of course. But I'm sure it's taken a lot for them to get to that point. So, Larry, which of the videos I think that you feel, have you seen all the convention videos?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Which one? You saw the bunker video, of course. What's really funny is now, and I think Bill Bowen has launched a viral thing about let's save Kevin, the guy that's spoken up that didn't want to come back to the bunker, and all these memes about Kevin now. He's become the major focus for ex-witnesses now. Yeah. Be like Kevin.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to watch Star
Stay out of the bunker. Kevin has a Starlight ball,
They do the stick person. Be like Kevin.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Yes. Hello? Yes.
Hi.
Who's this?
My name is
Hello?
Judith. I had called up on another number because I have an old paper with a lot of different conferences on it, because for years I was trying to get out of the society and I kept going back in. So I found this paper and I had called it and I got you, Gus, but I tried to make a comment when you had asked, does anybody want to say anything? And I just couldn't break through the mute, so I had to hang up, and I just called back on Rick's number, and I finally got, I wanted to say something to Larry. Is this Larry John Wayne?
No, this is Larry Gonzales. Yeah.
Oh, Larry Gonzales. I don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
Your name is Larry Gonzales. I wanted to say that I still technically aren't out of the organization yet. I keep I go in a little bit, I come out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But the last time I came out, I joined a telephone conference group, and I've been on it for 3 years, and it's been wonderful, except it is time to move on. It's not the same it used to be, or perhaps my needs have changed. And I'm a little downhearted, and I just want you to know, Larry, the way you spoke today, with everything that's gone on in your life between, your wife and getting divorced and the problems with your diabetes and everything, and you're so encouraging and so gentle and so kind spoken. You have really made me feel very good today. I want you to know that I think I am among people. Yeah, you did. I want you to know that it radiates through that peace that you have in your heart. It shows. And I thank you. And I'm listening. Thank you, Gus, too, and thank you, Rick. And I'll be on all day until I fall asleep tonight with the phone on and I hang up in the morning. So I will be on listening to everyone. Thank you for letting me say that.
I appreciate your call. Thank you. It's encouraging.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I just want to let you know that Six Screens will be on tomorrow at 1 o'clock till 8 o'clock, and I do a program from 6 to 8 called the Sunday Dinner, and I'm a former pastor now. I stopped pastoring last month, but I what I do is on Sundays from 6 to 8, I do some of the sermons I did at the church, and I cater it for witnesses. And then on Wednesdays, every first and third Wednesday, we do a Bible study. And I want to share this. We do a Bible study that's just chapter by chapter. We're going through the Book of Romans every first and third Wednesday, same on BTR. And on Tuesday, every second and fourth Tuesday, Melissa does a program. Melissa Brain called Hurting the Healing from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. I think it's an hour and a half. But now there's so many things available. I have to say that, out of all the programs that I do, I'm just really amazed that the Wednesday Bible study is the one that is the most listened to in completion. And what I mean by that is this program, and I have the stats on it, is maybe about 25% of the people will listen to the whole 2-hour program, about 25%. And, of course, people listen during the week, maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, but 25% completion rate. The Sunday dinner, about the same thing. But the Bible study, which is only an hour long, I have almost 100% completion rate. So I'm just really amazed because the Bible study I was actually considering.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask a question. On Wednesday, the first and third, is that this coming Wednesday now, or when is the next Bible study?
It's this coming Wednesday. It's every first and third Wednesday. This is the third Wednesday, I think, of this month. So it'll be
I want to come on it. I just want to know, what are we going to be studying? Romans what for Wednesday?
Romans chapter 11. It's a chapter every week, just about. Unless sometimes it's a lengthy chapter.
Wow.
Yeah, Romans chapter 11.
Thank you. I will be on.
Oh, okay, great, yeah. And for the Sunday dinner, if people are listening, you want to definitely be on the live video suite because I use PowerPoint slides for the video suite. So and I also use actual some live video to make points. But Larry, if you get to meet him, first of all, he has beautiful hair. I'm jelly of his hair. And like I said, I'm shocked to hear that he's a little more than 10 years older than me because I thought he was like in his 40s like me. So he looks young. But Larry has a very, very, very peaceful demeanor about himself. So thank you for sitting there. Yeah. Go ahead, Larry.
Thank you for that information.
You're welcome. So, if anybody else wants to share anything, if you're on the BTR line, you have to press 1 so I can unmute you. But if you're on the 6 screens line, you can unmute yourself, actually. All you have to do is hit star 1 and you unmute yourself. So, so that's the way that's the two formats are if you want to speak up. And by means, please do so. We have 25 minutes left, and so, we welcome anybody to go ahead and just share any comments or whatever your thoughts are. It's, even if it's about something dealing with the Watchtower that you particularly have a bone to pick, do so. Larry and I are here for you guys. So, back to what we were talking about, Larry. So, which videos did you see from the convention?
I was watching the one from the one about Sergey. With that poor staff that was just run ragged one way or the other. And we're talking, I think, about his music. Like he couldn't do his music, and that's accord with me because I was not allowed to pursue my music.
Right.
I'm a guitarist, and I've always been told that I have potential, and I wanted to really delve into it, and I was really poo-pooed on by the body of elders saying, no, you shouldn't be doing that kind of thing. You should be out in field service more, and blah blah blah. So, it's kind of like I could feel for Sergey,
I'm really glad you mentioned that video because that's one of the videos that touched me a little bit, the violin, because actually I'm thinking about getting another guest I had on earlier when we was doing healing. Actually, there was a guy named James Caputo, and if you know James Caputo, he's an atheist, but great friend of mine. And one of the things about James that if you don't know him is he was a world-renowned opera singer.
Oh,
and wow. James traveled the world singing opera, has an amazing voice. He's now an athletic trainer. He's really into body conditioning. He's a fitness instructor. And I really want to get James back on. In fact, as soon as we get up the air, I'm going to actually PM him to come back on because I want to get, if you're a former musician like yourself, one of the things that the organization does really put a damper on is our talents, our gifts.
Oh, yeah.
And being a guitarist, you could have pursued that. And I just think about there's no conflict in sharing your gift or using it for God. I'll tell you what. I just went to a concert last night, and my feet are killing me. I've never been to a rock concert before. Well, not a real rock concert. And me and my daughter went to see a group called 21 Pilots. Now, 21 Pilots is an alternative band. They do rock, they do hip. They do a mix of a whole bunch of some low folksy music, some kind of some rap, some hip hop in their music, and but both of these kids are Christians, and they're not Christian genre, but what you have is in their music is a lot of content about God, a lot of content about sin, a lot of content of breaking free from sinfulness, breaking free from violence. They have a song called Guns for Hands, which is about exchanging, violence for peace,
Right.
And so, and these guys are Christians, and I think Tyler had a basketball scholarship. My daughter could tell you more, but she knows their whole history. But the fact is that they chose music, not necessarily Christian genre, but they're still using it and using it for the benefit of a lot of people. And so the fact is that they're using their God-given talent still for God's glory. And And actually, what's happening now because of their music, people that would not consider Christianity are listening to music about God.
Right.
And so it's a great. The fact that an organization turns down your talents, because they feel that it's not ministry feasible, is ridiculous. Because David was a musician, King David.
Oh yeah.
And it's sad. It's sad.
Have you had a chance to listen to that group Reasoning Witch Power?
No, I've never heard of them.
I'll send you a link to them too. They've got a lot of talent musically, and they sing about Watchtower. A lot of the crap that goes on within the Watchtower Society, and it's really good music. Reasoning Witch Power. They have a YouTube channel.
Okay, I'm gonna check them out. I'm definitely check them out. But yeah, so it's just it's great about the fact that we can use our gifts and talents, and here's an organization that says, well, and apparently the kid with the violin was great. He was great. His teacher thought was. In fact, I think I posted a YouTube video of a music teacher who was actually making comment about that video also, and he had a student, and I think was good at music, and his parents told him that not to pursue music. So it's
right.
And he shared his story. It's on YouTube. I think Bill showed it. Bill Bowen showed it.
So we had one circuit overseer when I was living back in Albuquerque. We had a couple. They were the Walls, Chris and his wife. They had been professional singers at one time, and they hooked up with another brother who was also, I don't remember if he was a performer on stage or if he was like a recording guy that would be like in the recording studio and like back up different singers. But he was an excellent singer and guitarist also. And so they would get together, on the weekends or whatever, and they'd play music, and then it got into turning into like periodically they would have a gathering of people from the congregation go over and have some food, have something to drink, and then listen to the music that they played, And one day the circuit overseer showed up, and he was just nagging about everything. I mean, there was nothing that congregation did right that whole time between visits, I guess, because he was just nagging about everything. And then he said, and then you musical people, a bunch of musical wannabes, you should be out in field service instead of playing your guitar and singing. You sound foolish. And there will be no more large gatherings. And, I mean, he just pooed on everybody for everything. And anybody that had, that would go over there was always a wholesome, good time. It wasn't, a bunch of debauchery going on. But just because they were good at what they did, they had to be shut down. It was nonsense.
Yeah, yet they're not pulling on Prince's money that they're going to get from Prince when he died.
Yeah.
Or they're not going to pull. What about George Benson, who's supposedly an elder? He's an elder, and yet he still goes on tour. George Benson, I think a year ago, he was here at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. They're pulling on all the money he's making and bringing into the organization. I mean, where are you going to get?
I heard he tried to redo the Kingdom Melodies, and they fired him right out of there. I don't know how accurate that is.
Oh, okay. Somebody asked on the video suite what's Becca's YouTube channel, and I'm going to let them know. Cuckoo for the Truth. I'm just letting them. I'm typing it.
It's a number 4, I think.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know this is number 4. Cuckoo for the Truth. So but if it was up to them, there would be no musicians in the world, and there would just be a whole lot of carts.
Oh yeah.
No police officers, just magazine carts. It's unbelievable. I mean, all the money they raked in from people who really bought into them and yet are celebrities and are talented people.
Yeah. Well, they never did shut down.
Yeah. The thing is, and they have millions of dollars from these people too. By the way, so it's not like they can't really say that they haven't profited from others' celebrity or gifts or talents. But I remember James, he came to the Witnesses Now for Jesus convention. Oh, this had to be at least about 12 years ago, maybe a little longer. And he sang, and it was just he's a phenomenal opera singer, beautiful voice. So I mean, it's just and how would they have musicians? Don't forget they had to produce Kingdom Melodies. It took musicians to produce Kingdom Melodies, and now I think in one of their videos, in one of their convention videos, they have an original song, and I forgot the name of it, but it's kind of a pop song made by the organization about making the most of this life, something like that is the song.
Best Life Ever, that's what Becca says.
Yeah, Best Life Ever, that's it, Best Life Ever, yeah. So, if it wasn't for talented people, they wouldn't have that little song, Best Life Ever. This ain't your mama's organization anymore. Me and my wife, we'd always talk about it. The Witnesses Now have it made.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you couldn't do nothing. And I remember pitching a fit when I saw they were having those hoedowns at the International Convention inside of the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have never flown when I was going, man. There was like no way would they have a bunch of hay bales inside the Kingdom Hall and no music.
Yeah, I remember one time in the Kingdom Hall, they had played a tape recording of a jazz musician who kind of reinvented some of the Kingdom songs in a jazz format, and it sounded really, really good. And I was like, I got to get a this was when we had tapes, of course.
Yeah.
No one has tapes.
We're old, dude.
Yeah. So I wanted a copy of that tape, and I was like, it's a shame we can't just sing to that for the Kingdom songs, because it was really, really good. But it's just they've gone from the other thing that I noticed is what's the thing where they all just come out in the streets and break out in song? Now the Witnesses are doing.
Oh yeah, flash mob thing.
Flash mobbing, yeah, flash mobbing. Hey, I heard somebody back there say flash mobbing. Thanks for helping me out. Because I'm an old guy. I'm not familiar with all these terms too, But yeah, flash mobbing now is the thing in the organization. We would have never thought of doing flash mobbing when I grew up as a witness. Come on, that's worldly.
Yeah, I would have been ashamed. I hated being a witness, going to school, and that whole deal. I was ashamed, man. I hated the idea of going to school on a Monday or all week, and then on Saturday having to knock on somebody's door. And it's like somebody I knew in school. I always dreaded that, man.
Yeah, I was kind of a goody-goody as far as being a witness known in school. I let everybody know I was a witness in school. I was a little bit picked on for it. I'll tell you a little story of one of an area of shame for me as a witness. So I remember in middle school they would televise us during the weather. They would like a group of good students. They were good students would be used to do the weather, to do the news on the morning broadcast, and to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right.
Here I'm goody-goody Jehovah Witness, and I'm a good student, of course, at school because I was a good student. And I did the weather, and I completely forgot that we all were going to be standing in front of a camera to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's right. And a mad rush before we were going on there, I told them, look, I can't do the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. Just go on there. Just go on. Go up there. So we went up there. Everybody did their part. Came the time for the Pledge of Allegiance. I crumbled under the pressure, stood up for the Pledge of Allegiance, hand over heart, in front of everybody. Didn't say anything. Didn't say the words. But one of the witnesses I went to the hall with, saw me, and she said, I saw you do the Pledge of Allegiance. That's what she said. I saw you doing it. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry, but and she said, I would have done it too. But see, the thing is, I was a goody conscience. I mean, I beat myself up over it.
I've got a great big American flag hanging out by my door right now.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of changes over the past few years. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely, it was just it was an awful moment for me as a witness, but
I can imagine, man.
As a kid, though, you know, come on, we're kids. You're gonna crumble under pressure sometimes, and what you said about knocking on that. Now that's where I was scared the most, is having to actually preach to someone I went to school with.
Oh yeah.
That was scary for me. It was nerve-wracking. And what's funny is that one of the things that I actually really enjoyed doing was a couple of years ago was I went door to door campaigning for a particular a person that's running for delegate here in Charles County, a good friend of mine, C.T. Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had no problem campaigning for him as an elective, but it just was natural, and it was much easier and no pressure to it. But there was a lot of pressure when you're a witness to go door to door, I felt.
Oh, yeah. I used to hate going out in field service, man. I used to fudge on my report all the time, too.
I actually love going out in field service. I'm a talker, but and people that didn't like going on doors love going with me because I would take all the doors. But if it was a door where I went to school with that person, that was it. That's where I felt all the nerves just crumble on me.
Yeah.
So we're down to the last 7 minutes of the program, and so I just want to invite anybody that's pressed star 1 or press 1 if you're on the BTR line, because we're going to be down to the last 7 minutes, and Rick's going to be having the next program on, which I think is going to be Josh, who's known as David King from Cult Free Network. I think he's going to be on next.
Hey, Josh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Rick.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is Josh isn't coming on, but we had Johnny the Bethelite. He came on last Saturday night. And what we're going to do is I'm going to play that so people can hear it on the video suite and also on the radio network. What he said, he had a lot to say, so I'm going to play that call last Saturday night. I think a lot of people want to hear it.
Oh, sure, yeah. So Larry, I just
Hello?
want to thank you for coming on. Let me just.
Hello?
Yeah, Larry.
Hello?
Yeah. Hello? There's somebody.
Yeah.
May I just ask a question? I'm sorry to interrupt, but you'll be getting off. On your Wednesday Bible study, what time is that, and on what coast, what time zone?
7 o'clock Eastern Coast time. 7 o'clock Eastern
7
time.
p.m. Eastern? I thank you for that.
Yep. And are you on the video suite? Have you ever checked out we have like a chat room video suite where you can see people chatting, and we won't see you on your face because I know you want to keep your anonymity. But tomorrow from 6 to 8, I'm going to be doing a teaching on Christ in the Tabernacle, and I'm also going through the reformers of the Reformation, and so I'm going to cover John Wycliffe and the importance of the Reformation. Had 5 solas, and so we're going to start with sola Christo, which means Christ alone. So those are 2 sermons I'm giving tomorrow, and then we'll have slides so you can see the slides, and also a small video of actually John, I guess an acting role of John Wycliffe, so you can get an idea of who he was. And this was the guy who began the Reformation. He was called the Morning Star of the Reformation. One thing I love about the Reformers is ex-witnesses can identify with the Reformers, and I think it's important for ex-witnesses, or if you're a witness considering leaving the organization, to learn about the Reformation, and you'll see basically individuals who had to come up against a large authority, and so it's almost like a governing body situation and being disfellowshipped. In fact, it's worse for them, and so you'll get to really identify with the Reformers and what they went through as people who have belonged to an organization which really shuns those people. But in this case, sometimes it cost them their lives. So tomorrow we're going to cover Christ in the Tabernacle. We're going to learn about the tabernacle arrangement and how all the furniture related to Jesus Christ in the tabernacle, and also about the Reformers beginning with John Wycliffe. So that's tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern Time.
6 p.m. Now, if my computer doesn't support the video suite right now, is there any way I can just listen by phone until I get another computer?
Yeah, you can listen just the same way that you're listening now through the either Six Springs hotline number or through the Blog Talk Radio line number. Either number you can listen to, and you can listen to later. There's a link always given, so at your own convenience, if you ever want to listen to any of the programs, just go to the archives link or the links that we've given right here. The archives for all of the programs on healing that we do here on healing, and Six Springs is a different vehicle, but we combine on Saturdays and Sundays. The archives is www.blogtalkradio.com/healing X. That's the letter X. Outreach.
Yeah, in fact, Gus, I want to also, this is Rick Farron here at the Six Screens Control Room, but I just want to say to Judith or anyone else, we get a number of people listening in now on the radio. I want to let them know that we now have an app for the Six Screens, Gus, and people now can see it. We just came out with that in the last couple of weeks. They can now download it. They can actually watch it on their mobile device, on an iPhone or an Android, or their tablet even. So it's now capable of doing it. It wasn't capable, and just 2 weeks ago we now have that up. So that the best way to do it, if you don't have a computer but you have an iPhone or a good Android, you can watch us right on the video suite and listen in right on your telephone. What you have to do is go to sixscreensofthewatchtower.com. That's our official website, and scroll down about 6-8 inches down, and you'll come across a link that says click here for video suite. Click there and just follow the prompts, and you'll get in. You'll see us on your phone. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rick, and I'll be listening.
Thank you.
Six Screens is all day Saturday, all night, and on Sunday from 1 to 8 o'clock. So it's
Thank you.
It's a great format. So we're down to the last 90 seconds. First of all, I want to really thank Larry Gonzales so much for sharing his story with us.
Thank you.
And yes, and it will be right there on the archives link. So if you want to listen to the story, it will be featured. It's going to be the featured story for the whole week on the archives link. Go ahead and check out his YouTube channel. Just search Christian Toth. It'll pop up. He has over 50 videos on there. He's done a great job there. It was the first time that I encountered him was on YouTube, and then in live at the Witnesses Now for Jesus convention. I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank you for supporting us financially. I will say once again, even though Rick probably won't, there is a donate button there on Six Screens Little Watchtower. Support Rick, really, and because I know he's paying out of pocket, okay, and whatever you're going to give him is not going to go into his pocket. It's going to go right back into Six Screens Little Watchtower. And the fact that he has an app really just shows you how much investment he's invested in here from his own pocket. So support Rick, support Holy Heaven Ministries out there, orphanage for widows. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at the Sunday dinner, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Bye-bye. God bless.
Thank you, Gus. Thank you, Gus. Wow, that is Gus Astacio. We want to thank his guest,